Good afternoon and very warm welcome to the Wednesday edition of Vogan's European Outlook as the polar vortex, both within the stratosphere but also the troposphere, begins to tighten up. We're going to start to see the jet stream over the Pacific and Atlantic really liven up also. We're increasing the thermal gradient between the Arctic and the subtropics. Loose lift, the jet stream is expected to ramp up to as much as 277 miles per hour across the North Pacific. And looking at this view here from the GFS model down over the pole, we've got a very powerful jet stream, very flat also, if you notice, crossing the Pacific. What that's going to start to do is we're going to start to drive quite a warm up across the North American continent, but in turn also we're going to then see this reflection in the Atlantic basin as well, with a very powerful jet starting to increase, flat but stronger as we see this week progress. We've got one area of low pressure. It's a wet and windy Wednesday across many areas of the British Isles, but particularly so North Wales, Northern England and southwestern Scotland. We could see winds in excess of 70 miles per hour through the course of this afternoon. We've got another area of low pressure that gets thrown our way during the Thursday, Friday time frame. And then we've got a very interesting deep low that passes just to the north of Scotland as we move through the Saturday time frame that we may have to really keep an eye on. It wouldn't be surprising if this system gets named by the Met Office. So looking at the latest radar, you can see that the heavy rainfall, this has been pre-recorded during the overnight period, Tuesday into Wednesday, by the way. But you can see here some squally showers across southern UK, Wales, northwestern England, and then western side of Scotland. We're seeing heavier bursts of rain falling. It's also mild out there. Southerly or southwesterly winds is driving the temperatures across the board. 12 to 14 across Ireland. We've got 12 to 14 across particularly western and northern areas of the UK. As these winds really start to whip, the warmest temperatures of the day may occur. Now, like I said, by the time you're watching this video, it's already been and gone, I'm afraid. But during the overnight period, this is being recorded, by the way, at about 1:30 a.m. Wednesday morning. We've got 12, 13, 14 Celsius across quite a broad area of both UK and Ireland. Now, this is the current wind speeds according to the Meteosail website. And we've got winds in excess of 70 kilometres per hour across exposed western areas of both UK and Ireland. And according to the Met Office model, we are seeing this rise in temperature, then fall in temperature. So there's your rise as we progress through the overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, as can be seen here, 12, 13, even 14 Celsius, especially as those gusty winds bounce over the hills. We see this downward propagating airflow over the tops of the mountains. And as that air crosses over and it drops down the other side, we're seeing compression and warming taking place. So wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if we sneak out a 14, but even 15 or 16 Celsius. We're seeing 14s at the moment, but we may even see slightly warmer than that as we progress through the first half of Wednesday. But then once the cold front moves through associated with that area of low pressure, we see a drop in temperature, and it is a considerably colder night tomorrow night with northwesterly winds as opposed to the current time. We've got strong southwesterly winds, and that is the theme as we progress towards the Christmas period. As these areas of low pressure ride a pretty strong and zonal Atlantic jet, we're seeing a push of milder ahead of the system and colder air behind the system. Nothing particularly cold in the backside, I must admit, because this is not an overly cold situation overall. So you can see here, according to the Met Office model, peak wind gusts. And as we progress through the first half of Wednesday, it's really this area, North Wales, northwestern England, along the spine of the North Pennines, we could see gusts in excess of 70 miles an hour quite easily, but even 50, 60 miles per hour quite widely, especially across the western side of UK, north of Wales and northern England. Southwestern Scotland, for example, may be an exposure of that powerful wind, and also up the western side of the Highlands through the Outer Hebrides, the Northern Isles as well. Because if you look at this chart here of the ECMWF model, we've got this area of low pressure. It's deepening through the 980s into the 970s in millibars. It passes to the north. We've got that squeeze. It's a fairly windy area of low pressure. Then the next feature moves through across southern Ireland, southern UK, and then we're in that northwesterly airflow. Little bump in the isobars as we move through the course of Thursday. And then it's really as we move towards the upcoming weekend. It's this feature here that rapidly roars across the North Atlantic. Even by the time we reach 9 UTC on Friday, where it's away out in the northwest Atlantic, we've got quite the gradient here between 980s in millibars between the Baffin Straits and northern UK, while we've got a 1039, 1040 millibar high across the middle latitude belt here, the subtropical belt. It's that gradient in between the cold to the north and the warm to the south. We've got that very powerful jet stream. If we go back to the jet map here, so this is off a GFS model, and we've got this core of 277 miles per hour roaring across the Pacific. Then we start to flood North America with milder air. And then you notice here that we've got this little bit of a mirror image developing Pacific, now over the Atlantic. Very strong, very flat jet. And that is going to allow these areas of low pressure to roar very quickly across the Atlantic and towards the British Isles here. But notice here how far north the jet becomes. Because we're tightening that polar vortex both within the trop as well as the strat, then it really starts to pull the ridges within the middle latitudes northwards, the heights lower across the north as well, and therefore we've got this very flat, very symmetric look to the synoptic scale pattern across the northern hemisphere. So there's the mirror image between the North Pacific and the North Atlantic, and we've got areas of low pressure getting thrown against both the west coast of North America, west coast of Europe, and when you've got that, you've got a very, very mild overall flow across the entire northern hemisphere pattern. So let's have a look and see what the back to the ECM model, and this is by the time we reach the middle portions of Saturday. There's that area of low pressure roaring across the Atlantic, and pressure is expected, according to the ECM model, to drop to 961 millibars. Centre generally around the latitude of Shetland. Obviously, the core of strongest winds is in the southern flank, and we've got that really tight squeeze in the isobars. And if we look at the Met Office model here in terms of wind speeds, we've got that wet and windy Wednesday. Then we've got that system that moves across the southern UK. And it's really as we progress through the course of Saturday, you can see here this real strengthening of winds. Now, the Met Office model could be overdone, and obviously this is one of many models, so we have to take into account all the different members and different models output, but it's expected to see winds towards the 90 to 100 mile per hour range, northern portions of the Outer Hebrides, and also the across the top of Scotland as we progress through the course of Saturday. So, short and sweet today. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you next time with more information. Bye for now.